Okay, so you're a person. You wake up wanting things: food, a roof, maybe a phone that doesn't make you feel financially irresponsible. Problem is, everyone else wants things too, and there's not enough things. Not enough food, not enough roofs, definitely not enough phones that don't make you feel broke. That shortage? That's scarcity. And scarcity is the reason economics exists. If everything were unlimited, nobody would study this. We'd all just be eating lobster in hammocks. But it's not, so now we have to make choices. And economics is basically the study of how 8 billion people make choices when the planet doesn't have enough for everyone to get what they want. So what happens when stuff is scarce? You trade. I've got rice, you've got fish. Neither of us wants to eat the same thing for 40 years straight, so we swap. Both of us walk away better off. That's the whole foundation. But here's the twist. Every time you choose something, you're giving up something else. Choosing to read this script means not doom-scrolling Instagram. That thing you gave up, that's your opportunity cost. Every decision has one. Even doing nothing has a cost, because you could have been doing something. Now, why does trade even work? Because of comparative advantage. You don't have to be the best at anything. You just have to be less terrible at one thing compared to everything else you do. So even if you're bad at farming and bad at fishing, if you're slightly less bad at fishing, go fish. Let someone else farm. You both win. Trade isn't about talent. It's about relative suckiness. Put all of this together: scarcity, trade, choices, opportunity cost, and something emerges: a market. A market is just any place where buyers and sellers meet to exchange stuff. Could be a vegetable stand, could be the New York Stock Exchange, could be your neighbor selling homemade candles on Etsy that smell like regret. Markets run on one fuel: incentives. Drop the price of coffee, people drink more. Raise it, they switch to sadness. That tug between what people want and what producers offer creates supply and demand. Demand is how badly people want something at a given price. Supply is how much producers are willing to make at that price. Where those two collide, you get the equilibrium price, the sweet spot where every willing buyer finds a willing seller. Supply goes up, price drops. Demand goes up, price climbs. Unless the government says actually no and slaps a price ceiling or floor on it. That's price control. It usually creates shortages or surpluses, but politicians love it because it sounds like they're helping. Okay, but swapping fish for rice gets old fast. Enter money. Money is just a tool that makes trade less awkward. Instead of carrying a goat to the barber, you carry paper, or plastic, or a phone with an app. Money does three things. It's a medium of exchange, so you can buy stuff, a unit of account, so you can price stuff, and a store of value, so you can save up and buy bigger stuff later. Without money, every transaction is a hostage negotiation. With money, things flow.
And then we invented banks. Banks take your money, keep a tiny fraction, and lend the rest to other people. That's fractional reserve banking. It works beautifully until everyone wants their deposits back at once. That's a bank run. It's basically a financial stampede, and it's why deposit insurance exists, so you don't have to sprint to the ATM every time the news gets scary. Now zoom out. All these markets, all this buying and selling, how do we measure it? GDP, gross domestic product. It's the total value of everything a country produces in a year. Every haircut, every car, every overpriced airport sandwich. There are three ways to calculate it: add up all production value, add up all income earned, or add up all spending. The formula nerds use is GDP equals C plus I plus G plus X minus M. Consumption plus investment plus government spending plus exports minus imports. Exports add to GDP because that's stuff made here. Imports subtract because that's stuff made elsewhere. But GDP has blind spots. It doesn't count unpaid work, ignores the black market, and doesn't care if growth came from building hospitals or selling weapons. It tells you how big the economy is, not how good it is. That's like judging a restaurant by how much food it serves instead of whether anyone enjoyed eating it. GDP also rides waves. Sometimes the economy expands. That's a boom. Sometimes it contracts. That's a recession. Sometimes it contracts so hard and for so long that people start bartering again. That's a depression. These ups and downs are called business cycles, and they're driven by shifts in aggregate demand and aggregate supply. When demand grows faster than supply, prices rise. That's inflation. A little inflation is normal. A lot of inflation means your savings are melting. Hyperinflation means your money is worth less than the paper it's printed on. Ask Zimbabwe, where they once printed a $100 trillion bill that still couldn't buy lunch. So who controls inflation? Central banks. In the US, that's the Federal Reserve. In Europe, the ECB. Their main weapon is interest rates. Raise rates, borrowing gets expensive. People spend less. Economy cools. Lower rates, borrowing gets cheap. People spend more. Economy heats up. This balancing act is called monetary policy. Get it right and you're a genius. Get it wrong and you're on the front page. Meanwhile, governments have their own lever, fiscal policy. That's taxing and spending. Governments collect money through income tax, corporate tax, sales tax, property tax, and a dozen others. Then they spend it on roads, schools, defense, healthcare, and paperwork about paperwork. If they spend more than they collect, that's a deficit. Add up every deficit over decades, that's the national debt. The US owes over $34 trillion. Japan's debt is over 260% of its GDP. Norway's fine, but that's because they found oil and didn't blow it all on football stadiums.
Is debt bad? Depends. Borrowing to build infrastructure that grows the economy? Smart. Borrowing to fund stuff nobody needs during a boom? Less smart. At some point, just paying the interest on the debt becomes its own budget line. You're borrowing money to pay back money you already borrowed. And if lenders lose confidence, they demand higher interest, which makes the debt even harder to manage. In extreme cases, countries default, stop paying entirely. Greece did it, Sri Lanka did it, Argentina does it like it's a national sport. All right, let's cross borders. No country makes everything. Japan builds cars, Brazil grows coffee, Taiwan makes chips, so they trade. International trade lets countries specialize in what they're relatively best at and import the rest. Prices drop, variety increases, technology spreads. Everyone theoretically wins. But not everyone wins equally. Some workers lose jobs to cheaper labor overseas. Some industries collapse. So governments step in with tariffs, quotas, and subsidies to protect local producers. That's protectionism. It saves some jobs short-term, but usually raises prices and slows growth long-term. Trade is efficient, protectionism is comfortable. The two rarely get along. Trade also means currencies. If India buys oil from Saudi Arabia, someone's converting rupees to reals. That's the foreign exchange market. Exchange rates float based on supply, demand, interest rates, inflation, and occasionally panic. If your currency weakens, your exports get cheaper, but imports get pricier. If it strengthens, the opposite. Managing this is part art, part science, part prayer. Now let's get personal. You work, you earn wages. That's the labor market. Firms hire you only if you produce more value than you cost. If you generate $80 an hour of value and they pay you $20, the rest is their profit. If wages get too high, firms automate. If they're too low, workers quit or protest. Minimum wage exists to set a floor. Set it right and it helps. Set it too high and businesses replace you with a screen that never calls in sick. Okay, you've earned money. Now what? You can save it, spend it, or invest it. Investing means putting money into assets, stocks, bonds, real estate, or if you're feeling adventurous, crypto. Stocks are slices of companies. Bonds are loans you give to governments or corporations. Derivatives are bets on other bets. Crypto is math pretending to be money, sometimes successfully, sometimes not. The golden rule of investing: higher risk, higher potential return. Also higher potential for crying in a parking lot. Diversify. Don't bet your retirement on one coin because a guy on Reddit told you to. Almost done. Why are some countries rich and others trapped in poverty? Development economics asks this, and the answers are uncomfortable. Geography matters. Landlocked countries have higher shipping costs. Tropical countries fight diseases that tank productivity. History matters. Colonialism extracted wealth and left broken institutions. Institutions matter. If the court system runs on bribes, nobody invests. Resources can even be a curse. Find oil, get rich, then watch corruption eat everything. The real growth formula seems to be education, property rights, stable governance, and not having a civil war every few years. One last thing. Traditional economics assumes people are rational. Behavioral economics laughs at that. Humans are beautifully irrational. We value $5 today more than $50 next year. We hold losing stocks, hoping they'll recover. We buy gym memberships we never use because signing up felt like exercising. That's why smart systems nudge us. Auto-enroll retirement plans, default organ donation, warning labels. Left to our own devices, we'd optimize for dopamine and bankruptcy. So what system holds all this together? Capitalism says let markets decide. Socialism says let the collective decide. Communism says let the state decide. In practice, every country is a mix. The US has food stamps in public schools. China has billionaires in stock exchanges. The real question every economy answers is, what do we make, how do we make it, and who gets it? Nobody's cracked it perfectly. Probably never will. And that, in 10 minutes, is economics. Scarcity forces choices. Choices have costs. Trade makes everyone better off. Money makes trade possible. Governments tax, spend, and occasionally ruin things. Global trade is powerful and fragile. People are irrational, and every system is just a different attempt at answering the same impossible question. How do you split a pie that's never big enough?